bring in Dr. Sebastian Gorka, professor of strategy and irregular warfare at the Institute of World Politics and author of Defeating Jihad. Dr. Gorka, good of you to be here this morning, sir.
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
All right, so what is Merry Christmas to you? What is your take on the general's comments on ISIS?
That's true only if we would perpetuate President Obama's death of 1,000 cuts. There is no way it's going to take 2 years to get rid of ISIS with a new president. The fact is, ISIS recruited over the last 5 years about 80,000 jihadis. Maybe there are about 35,000 left. That is not a serious fighting force. We have twice that many special operations forces alone inside the U.S. Armed Services. We could destroy, and I mean literally just destroy ISIS in a matter of a month or two if we actually went to war and didn't dribble out our commitment as we're doing right now. President Obama never wanted to go to war in Iraq. Remember, he was elected as president on a bumper sticker of Afghanistan is the quote-unquote good war and Iraq is the bad war. He never wanted to win this war, and that's why it would take so long only if Obama stayed in office.
Looking forward, Dr. Gorka, what do you make of the criticism out there that Donald Trump doesn't have a strategy? He's always said he doesn't want to reveal what that strategy is, but that leaves a lot of room to speculate that there isn't one. Do you think Trump's got one?
Look, I know General Flynn. I've worked very closely with General Flynn. As far as I know, Speaker Gingrich is not part of the official presidential transition team, so I'm not sure how he would know whether or not Mr. Trump has a strategy. But what we do know, if you read the Youngstown speech by President-elect Trump, he clearly has a plan in mind. He's not going to divulge all the details, which is absolutely correct. And also, what else has he said? This is on the record. He said as soon as he is sworn in as Commander-in-Chief, he is going to demand within 30 days a plan from his generals on how to defeat ISIS. That's how you do it. But you don't advertise the details of that strategy because that's how the enemy adapts to your plan.
Hey,
Bill Clinton did that. President Obama's done that. It is not good strategy.
He won the election on that promise. And also, Dr. Gorka, as we do look at this continued threat from ISIS overseas, we also look here at home. A new federal security bulletin has been issued ahead of New Year's Eve in Times Square. Obviously, there's fear of these large crowds gathering. ISIS has always said that they target those. Are federal authorities doing enough, do you believe, to protect soft targets in light of last week's Christmas market attack in Berlin?
Well, look, ISIS has been very clearly, they've said in their publications in English, in Dabiq, their magazine online, you will attack large concentrations of unarmed civilians. So something like the Times Square festivities is a very, very seductive and attractive target for groups like ISIS. Are the feds doing enough? The trouble is they are handcuffed by the current administration. The current administration doesn't allow you to profile, which is logical. If you're looking for a 6'3" white bank robber, you don't hassle 4'2" black grandmothers. It's just good policing. When you make it so that you can't surveil the places where jihadis hang out, including radical mosques, it's harder to find the bad guys before they make an attack. We need more of those kinds of tools that were developed by the NYPD after 9/11, and we need them on a federal scale. So my advice to all your viewers is be aware. Look around you. Have a tactical sense. Don't walk down the street staring at your iPhone or your Android, because the war is here. The war is on American streets. We have arrested 125 ISIS terrorists in America in just the last 2.5 years. So be aware of your surroundings.
Sebastian, it's Dagan McDowell. Yesterday, there were some disruptions at malls across the country, and there were some reports, at least police are looking into the possibility that these outbursts were organized on social media. And the first thing I thought of was, what's the terror implication? That it's so easy to cause unrest and even panic in a place where people gather. What are we doing about it, frankly, and what are the social media companies doing about it?
Right, Dagan, this is a very important point. So what I try to make people understand is there's never a case of an upstanding American citizen on Monday deciding to kill people on Tuesday as a jihadi. What we've seen over the last 15 years is that the jihadists always prepare. It's like a military operation. They plan, they prepare, and they collect intelligence. So what we've seen in the last few days could have been the collecting of intelligence on targets prior to an attack, and that is why the bumper sticker of DHS is so very, very important. If you see something suspicious, you must tell somebody. Don't be afraid of being called an Islamophobe. Do it. Tell people, because if the neighbors of the San Bernardino killers had told the authorities what they were suspicious of, those 14 people could be alive today.
Dr. Gorka, Steve Forbes here. Looking down the road, what needs to be done about Iran, which finances these organizations, arms them, trains them? Ultimately, we got to get at the source. How do we go about doing it?
This is the big question for Mr. Trump after the 20th of January. Iran, but according to our State Department, Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. The idea that we've given them billions of dollars, which even the Secretary of State has admitted will be used to finance terrorism, that has to stop. We have to play hardball. It's not about war with Iran, but it's about playing hardball. It's about stopping all nuclear facility development, not this craziness that we give them more than a month of warning before we inspect them, that you can't have U.S. inspectors on site. We've got to stop embracing the mullahs and start playing hardball with them.
What are some of the restraints in fighting in the Middle East? We have several thousand troops there, though the president pretends we really don't. What are the key restraints removing day one that would make a difference in cutting ISIS to not down to size, but getting rid of them?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, the rules of engagement that we have on our servicemen are incredibly restrictive. We have to give them real rules of engagement that allow them to protect themselves and execute the mission. Secondly, we have to create a true alliance of Sunni Muslims. Right now, I've been to CENTCOM. I've briefed in theater. The vaunted 60-plus nation coalition of the Obama administration doesn't exist. It's a Potemkin village. We need to have a true Sunni coalition of those individuals, those nations who wish to destroy ISIS, and convince them that we are on their side. What the Sunnis of the region have learned in the last 8 years is don't trust us. As soon as things go tough, we're going to hightail it out of there. So we need diplomacy to convince them we're back. We're here to help you. We're not going to invade the Middle East, but we will facilitate you with intelligence, training, and everything else you need to be the front line of this war. And we need to stay the course.
All right, Dr. Gorka, we didn't get to it, but I just want to let our listeners know that also Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is going to be meeting with President Obama in Pearl Harbor, the first formal trip by a Japanese leader. There's some major significance there, but wanted to make sure that our viewers knew that as well. Dr. Gorka, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So early in the morning. Good to have you, sir.